There are a lot of reasons why you might want to play a role playing game. Most people will say fun is the most important reason why you would play role playing games. And a little while back, I made a video about why they are wrong, empirically wrong, and why breaking down the play however you want as long as you're having fun approach isn't just missing the mark, it's logically inconsistent. So the argument defeats itself. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. The comments section got real crazy real fast, and a lot of folks that watched that video thought that if I said that fun being the top focus was not correct, that also meant that fun can't be a part of role playing games at all, which is a unique hiccup in a lot of people's cognitive faculties of assuming that if it's not the top priority, it can't exist at all. So, so that video was all about the kind of negative side of tearing down a faulty logic argument kind of thing. And this one, I just wanted to present a more constructive representation of how I see role playing games. And just for the record, I think fun can be a big part of why you play role playing games. And if it is miserable slog every single time you play, then maybe you shouldn't be playing with those people. But fun isn't the main focus. The question is it worth it? And there are a lot of things that make playing role playing games worth it. Fun being a big one, community, connection, friendship is a big one. Getting out of the house can be a big one. I mean, I've spiraled out before where I didn't want to see anybody and I didn't for a very long time. And it was very difficult for me to be a good friend if I didn't show up for my friends. And also, I made it impossible for my friends to be good friends for me because I wouldn't let them show up. And having some reason to continue showing up with the people you actually care about, having a good excuse to just be in the same room with people you like, that's a pretty darn good reason to keep doing it. Okay. Now, all that kind of stuff is important. And at the same time, there's a deeply meaningful experience that you can get out of role playing games that no other game, no other thing really comes close to doing it. And this is at the heart of the value that you can get out of doing these with the right mindset, with the right approach, the right kind of thinking framework about it. To do that, we're going to go over to the world of psychology for a little bit, and there's an idea called theory of mind, and that is the ability to imagine that somebody else can think differently than you do. When you are a kid, like I've got a 2.5-year-old daughter, I've also got a newborn. The newborn can't conceptualize anything right now. She can't really communicate beyond crying and making some noises. So, in between there, when you're a toddler, you can think, you can talk, and it's relatively low resolution. And there's an interesting peek into the mind of a toddler, and experiments have been done on this. It's fairly well established that imagine for a second that my wife and I are in the kitchen with our toddler, and we put one of my toddler's favorite toys up in the cabinets. My wife leaves the room, and then my toddler and I move that toy to under the sink. Then I ask my toddler, when mommy comes back, where will she look for your toy? Now, this is getting meta for just a second, but you're doing the thing right now, thinking about that situation and being able to imagine the thinking of the toddler of what she might say, okay? Which is being able to imagine that she would say that mom would look for the toy under the sink because the toddler doesn't understand that mom's experience is different from the toddler's experience. The toddler is recognizing the world through her own mind, and that's it. Her mind doesn't account for other people's experience yet. So she has no theory of mind that other people could think different from how she thinks. So that's why everything she knows, she thinks we know. And what she doesn't know, you couldn't possibly know. So her mind is the only mind in existence right now. And she hasn't gotten to that stage of development where she can imagine somebody else being different from her. So there's theory of mind, which is the ability to model somebody else's thinking as it is. Then we can take that farther, and this is called perspective taking, which is not only being able to understand that somebody might think differently from you, but it's to take into account the situation that that person's in, think about their background and their context, and then be able to predict what this other person would do in this situation when it's different from how you would behave in that same situation. So this situation could be imaginary. It could be a creature that doesn't exist in a dynamic that you would never be able to be in because you're on Mount Doom and Gollum is trying to get the ring back, and you could understand what Gollum is going to do next. This is one of the most important psychological exercises you could possibly have as a human being. It makes you more empathetic to your friends. It helps you connect with your family more easily. You can appreciate your parents in a way that you couldn't before when you can go, I can see why they did what they did. It's not an excuse, but it sure is a much better explanation. And you can forgive people more easily. If you're in business, this helps you brand more effectively. You can understand, oh, the way that I'm presenting this company is coming across in a way that I didn't think about, but I can understand why my ideal clients aren't resonating with my branding the way that I thought I should, or the way that I thought it should be done. Same goes with your marketing. If you are in sales, you can understand the mind of your lead and appreciate why they would decide to not go with you. And then you have to make your case for why they should hire you within the framework of their own understanding. So you have to have theory of mind to understand that they don't know what you don't know. Then you have to take their perspective to appreciate the way that they're seeing what it is that you're saying. So this is straight up mind reading. This is empathy. This is skin walking. This is dream walking. This is the most powerful human superpower that we have, and nobody practices it. Nobody practices it. Except role players, because that's what role playing is. In fact, role playing and perspective taking actually goes way back to before written history. Shamans were known for shape shifting, for turning into animals. Now, how literally you want to take that, okay, but at minimum, it's that they could embody and see through the eyes of this animal and behave as this animal in a very logically consistent with reality of what we see that animal do. That verisimilitude, that very close mapping to reality, is what role playing can be. Not that it is, but that at its heart is the most valuable part of what it can be. That's why it breaks my heart when there are thousands of books written about role playing, and near zero of them actually cover role playing. They talk about how to make combat faster, how to make story hooks more interesting. Spoiler alert, they're not stories. I've got a video about that. So that's why it blows my mind that there's this whole world of role playing games and nobody's role playing. And it's just kind of like there's this gorgeous, priceless diamond at the heart of what this thing is, and nobody cares about it. They want the cheap imitation, they want the stuff that doesn't even come close to it, and they want to clown around and just have fun with meta talking and checking their phone. All of that is antithetical to what it takes to fully model somebody's brain. Like, this is hard work. It is not easy to do. It is a skill, which means you have to practice at it. You have to develop your sensibilities. You have to cultivate your focus to be able to maintain this state of mind over time. So that's why I wanted to make this video about this precious jewel of role-playing games that can be a lot of fun and also deliver so much more value than you could have possibly ever imagined. And even if its excuse is to get you out of the house, to take a shower today, put on some clothes, and go see your friends, that's great. And also, at the same time, the benefits and profound insights you get from doing something as silly as imagining you're a dark elf or whatever your character is, the discipline of staying present in the mind of your character over time while the other players at the table maintain that focus themselves, so that you get this group dynamic of buy-in and this existence within the mind of somebody else. There's nothing else like it on planet Earth. So tell me what you think. I'm curious to know. Have you ever gotten there? Have you experienced that? Please sound off in the comments. And if you've liked this video, YouTube can't read your mind. YouTube doesn't have perspective taking. YouTube does not have the ability to know that. So the easiest way to let YouTube know that you enjoyed it is to take action by liking the video. That'll help tell YouTube that other folks might appreciate seeing this as well. So that's it for now. I'm Jonathan Pritchard. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video right here.